Mr. Chairman, everyone is in from the waiting room.
Thank you, Monty. I appreciate that. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Board of Selectmen meeting for the 12th of April. Time is now 6:05. Quorum being present, I'm calling the meeting to order. We are going to start off with Sarah. Sarah is going. We had an executive session here for those who don't know, and Sarah is on her way home, and she's in that interim period, so she'll be joining us in just a few moments. Let's start off with public comment. Monty, open it up, please. Okay, if we could go to Carol Cook first, that would be great.
Carol, you've been unmuted.
Yeah, thank you. Carol Cook, 171B Thatcher Road. At our recent town meeting, 3/4 of the voters passed a warrant article suggesting to the selectmen that we do not want to sell our Long Beach land. I would like to know if the selectmen are going to continue to try to sell the land or to a buyer who would probably put up year-round condos if it was ever sold, or whether they will, just stop trying to take away our Long Beach land, which will cause us to have less access to Long Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. For a couple things. Number one is no decision has been made and nothing is being put forward at all right now. This is still information gathering, so there has been no expressed desire to sell except by myself, but I won't be part of that decision because I do think it's the right thing to do. However, the board as a whole is still taking everything under advisement. So there has been we are not continuing to try to sell anything. That's a misnomer, and I'd like that clarified. But thank you for your comments, Carol. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment on that
article? Yeah, please do.
I just want to say that during the voting process of that article, the speaker at the time stopped reading at the FEMA study. They didn't continue on to mention the removal of the cottages on Long Beach. I understand that it's still in the packet, but I think it was a little disingenuous at the time for the reader to stop reading after the showing support for a FEMA study, because I think we'd all support a FEMA study in the end, but the article did say removal of the cottages and they stopped reading after that. I just want to make that clear.
Can I clarify?
Please, go ahead.
If you had heard what I wrote, what I said at the meeting, or if you had read in the voters booklet, it explained about how houses would not have to be removed until global warming or sea rise threatens the flooding of all of these 149 properties and continues to flood them. And that is what I stated when I got up to present our warrant article. That is what I said. I'm sorry, but I guess Selectman Brackett didn't hear me. But I urge you to go to the voters booklet. I believe Article K is on the next to the last page, and please read the explanation. Okay.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. Thank you. Monty, let's go to Toby Arsenian, please.
Toby, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. At the recent town meeting during the discussion of selectmen term limits, I commented on Don Campbell, chairman's conduct of the public comment period. What I said was unguarded, unfair, and inappropriate, and I apologize to Mr. Campbell. The town meeting was not a proper forum for discussing the public comment period, but the public comment period is very much an issue. Your responses to people are different from person to person. Sometimes people get answers, sometimes they're thanked and then ignored. Certainly it would be appropriate, if it's all in good faith, that at some point people get answers. And at present, there's no arrangement that would make that possible unless the board were breaking the open meeting law, which I'm not supposing or suggesting, because at no point do you put it on an agenda to come up with answers to public comments. Before the town meeting, the run-up to it, you were reviewing in sections the board's policies. And I don't recall whether that was one you had reviewed or one you were coming to. But I would ask you, when you go back to reviewing the policies, to put that on the agenda for review, because something more is needed. If indeed you care about what people have to say in public comment period. May I comment on something else?
Yes, but before you do, Toby, I wanted to say thank you. Your apology is accepted. And, you know, there's no secret that we've sparred throughout my 6 years on the board here. But I believe you have good intentions. Sometimes they come across a little cloudy, but I think you have good intentions and you're speaking for a lot of people in town. So thank you for that, Toby. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. The other thing is Carol Cook's article. I find it hard to believe that that would have passed had the board done what was reasonable and cautious, which would have been to ask Mitch Vieira to research whether FEMA would in fact do such a study. I don't know. I'm skeptical. And also, it would have been prudent to ask town council to explain that the town has no right to remove those houses. No more right than that the town would have to remove your house or mine. And when Carol Cook says that she explained in the explanation of the article, that really doesn't weigh, and that's not what counts. What counts at the town meeting, and the moderator says it every time, is not what's in the article, still less what's in the explanation. What counts altogether and only is the motion. And that article was to go on as it had been at the previous town meeting, which included removing the houses.
Thank you, Toby. I appreciate that. We're not, I know Carol has her hand up again. We're not getting into a back and forth. It's not going to happen. So Carol, you can talk to Toby outside of this, but we're not going to do it here in this meeting. Monty, if you could unmute Nathan Mulcahy. Nathan, you're next.
Thank you, Chairman Campbell. My name is Nathaniel Mulcahy. I just wanted to jump in briefly. I wrote to Carol Powers, Denise Powers, sorry, earlier today, and I'm just putting my hat into the ring. I hear that our Concom is overworked, absolutely stressed, understaffed, and I have 20 years of experience in developing environmental policy and solutions for both the United Nations and for 16 other countries. And should my experience be useful to our hometown, please take that into consideration and consider me available.
Nathan, can you give your full name and record, an address for the record?
Of course. My name is Nathaniel Mulcahy. I live at 7 Dean Road.
Nathaniel, as with everybody, first of all, thank you for a willingness and to step up and want to do something. If you do have a sincere interest, as it sounds you do,
Yep.
Please put a letter in through the Board of Selectmen, which it's, you said her name is Debbie Powers, so I'm guessing
Yes,
that was
I did
not
email-
Denise.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm
No, that's
terrible with
okay.
names.
No, because we have Denise Donnelly on here too, so I just
Yeah,
wanted
no.
to make sure we were going the right direction here.
Thank you, Chairman Campbell. If you wish, I can also forward you an abbreviated resume of some sort, if that's helpful for you.
That would be necessary, but again, do that through the office and make
Okay.
sure that everything flows through there, and then that will then come to us in our weekly packets that we get, or bi-weekly packets.
Terrific. I'll do that this
Okay.
evening, and you'll have it before your next meeting that way.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Chairman Campbell.
All right, my pleasure. Let's go to Mary S., if we don't mind, Monty, please. Could we unmute her?
Mary, you've been unmuted. Can you name and address for the record?
Yeah, Z
Oh,
Sepulveda,
Zenas. Okay.
92 Granite Street. I'm just following up on Toby's comments on the town meeting. It is available on Studio 1623 now for viewing. And I'd like to comment on the passage that was that interaction between Toby and Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell replied that Mr. Arsenian spoke with contempt and self-righteousness at the selectmen's meeting, didn't work with the government, and for the town meeting not to be fooled. If I'd been the moderator of that meeting, I think after the first phrase, that commentary would have been cut off, out of order. It's not your fault. People do get emotional at these meetings. That's why we're supposed to have moderators. I know, angry as I am sometimes at selectmen's meetings, that antennas have gone up rapidly when my voice starts to rise without even any criticism that is unwarranted. You know, and quickly disposed of with a we're not going to debate it now standard line. So I think, as well as Toby apologizing, it wouldn't be a bad idea for the selectmen to self-reflect and sometimes offer apologies themselves. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Zenas. And I will tell you, you know, I'm going to be a big man here. And as I said, Toby and I have sparred, but Toby's comments, as he said, were out of line. That was a defense of myself and the perceived disingenuous nature of the way I respond to people by thanking them, which really got under my skin. Toby has apologized. So you know what, Zenas, I'll take your advice on this one. Toby, if I offended you, you have my apology as well. And we'll leave it at that. So thank you, Zenas, much appreciated. Is there anybody else for public comment? Seeing no other hands, let's move on to, survey says, the item C, change of location hearing for C and Cellar. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a motion. I move that the Board of Selectmen open a public hearing on the application of C and Cellar LLC to change their location from 21 Dock Square number 3 to 35B Bearskin Neck.
Second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion on opening the hearing? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Hi, sorry I was late.
That's okay. No problem. We missed you. Selectman Murphy
Aye.
and Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. The public hearing is now open. We're going to go solely with the public side of this right now, and then we'll close it, and then the board will deliberate from there. So is there anybody that would like to speak? Do we have anybody from C and Cellar here? Let me scroll through.
Oh, the porters.
There we go.
I see the
Yep.
hand up.
Yep, please, Monty, you're unmuted. Please go right ahead. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Lindsay Porter, currently 21 Dock Square. Thank you so much. I'll soon be 35 Bearskin Neck. I appreciate the approval. That's all I have to say.
Oh, no, they didn't. It's opening the public hearing.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is an opportunity for you to just kind of tell us what's going on. This is to present your side of it. So
Yeah.
if you'd like to fill in on some details, that way the public can ask questions if they'd like.
Yeah, sorry. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Could you just read the ad first?
Oh, do I even, I don't even, that's in my, hold on. Yes, I will. I apologize for that. Let me get the ad here. Sorry for the delay, folks. Is it in the packet, Mitch? Because I didn't see it. Oh, here it is. I got it.
Page 2.
There it is. I got it. Okay. Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen public hearing Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, 6:05 p.m. Zoom meeting link will be available on the posted meeting section of the Town of Rockport website, rockportma.gov, prior to the hearing to discuss the alcohol license change of location for C and Cellar LLC, 21 Dock Square, number 3 to 35B Bearskin Neck. Donald J. Campbell Jr. Chairman, posted in the Gloucester Times 4/1/22. Very good. Okay, please continue. To the Porters, go right ahead.
sorry, I misunderstood your question. I just ran in the door. So our reason for moving is that I'm currently renting at my current location, and we had the chance to buy 35 Bearskin Neck. So that was our move financially, and we thought it would be an appropriate place for C and Cellar as well.
Good. Does anybody from the public have any comments, questions, concerns that they'd like addressed? Please raise your hand. Use the hand raise function. Hearing none. Doesn't look like anybody's there. Monty, just one more check. Do you see anybody?
I do not.
Okay, very good. Then we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia,
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. The public hearing is now closed. Okay, let's start some discussion amongst the board first, and then we'll go to the motion. Does anybody wish to speak on this? From the board?
If I may.
Please.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This sounds good to me. In fact, I think the current location is terrific and it looks great, but makes sense if they have an opportunity to buy a building. Is it gonna, Lindsay, is it gonna be bigger or about the same space?
It's about the same square footage, give or take maybe 100 feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's right next to,
It's an extra, sorry, John Porter, 269 Granite Street. It's technically 55 square feet bigger, but that's including pretty much like an under stairwell. So just gonna be a little bit shorter ceilings and a lot less sun, because the problem we were having also was the amount of the air conditioner wasn't able to keep up with the coolers in the building. It's southerly faced, all those windows. So this location is going to be a lot better for the wine and cheeses and all, just
better storage.
yeah, better storage for everything, since everything is a natural product.
now, this is right next door to Roy Moore's, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, correct. It used to be the clothing store Coast and Country.
Perfect, perfect. And how long of a construction project will this be?
Very quick. It was already a retail space.
Yep.
So pretty much some new clapboard on the wall and move the coolers in. We hope to be able to do it in a couple days.
Oh, good,
Everything's coming with us, so should be pretty quick.
good, good. Well, terrific. You guys have done a wonderful job with your store thus far. So I suspect it'll be even better down Bearskin Neck. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
good job.
What's your projected opening date?
We're hoping to be open by May 1st, give and take, you know, how the paperwork goes with the ABCC and the general move.
Good, very good. Ross?
Are you just referring to, the family as a whole is buying it? Because it says you'll be renting still?
Yeah, so
Okay.
the company, yeah, sorry, the
That's what I
company,
figured.
the,
All right.
the business bought it. So my business bought it.
Yeah, I
which
get it,
owns
yeah,
the other- yeah.
And the same hours are going to be,
Yep,
okay,
yep, everything's staying exactly the same.
good.
Herm, Sarah, any comments, any questions? Nope.
Sounds fine.
Yeah,
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Sarah.
So excited for you guys that you're able to do this and come up with it. I'm so glad how successful it's been so far, and great.
Thank you. We appreciate your support all the way through.
We have
Very
one
good.
point, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
You guys planning curbside? Because I know in the past during COVID, we've had some trouble with that section of the neck with blockage and stuff like that from tourists. Any plans to
I don't think I'll be
streamline anything?
filing any complaints.
Yeah, no, and no curbside. We're not really doing curbside now. They're just no
Sounds
like
good.
phone in orders and stuff. People were just pulling up. So
All right, any other questions? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve C and Seller LLC's application for change of location from 21 Dock Square, Unit 3 to 35B Bearskin Neck, subject to all required inspections.
I'll
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett?
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson?
Aye.
Selectman Murphy?
Aye.
Selectman Lilia?
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. All the best to you, folks. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, you're very
Good luck,
welcome.
guys.
That's great. Okay, we're going to move on to item D, the interview of full-time police officer Ryan Urbanski. And we have the chief here for that. So why don't we just open it right up to you, Chief, and you can tell us a little bit about your candidate.
That's great. Thank you, Selectman Campbell. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to introduce one candidate for the position of full-time police officer with our department for the board's consideration. Mr. Ryan Urbanski is a resident of Danvers and is currently a full-time police officer in the Danvers Police Department. He's been a full-time police officer since 2018 and brings with him some previous prior security experience as well. Ryan is a U.S. Army veteran, serving the United States from 2011 to 2016, and he earned his Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice at Fitchburg State University in 2011. He's also a 2018 graduate of the Lowell Police Academy. We've conducted an extensive background on Mr. Urbanski, which he passed and has been described as loyal, hardworking, and trustworthy. He's attained some really valuable experience as a full-time police officer and is eager to join our department, as well as answer your questions here this evening. So I present to the board, Mr. Ryan Urbanski.
Thank you very much, Chief. We appreciate that. Eloquent as always. Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words, and then we'll get some questions from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chief said, my name is Ryan Urbanski. I've been full-time Danvers police officer for about 4 years. 2018, I graduated from the MPTC Academy. I'm currently residing in Danvers, possibly looking for a move within the next couple of years. And been married for 2 years. I have an 8-month-old baby girl, and looking forward to the next step in my future here.
That's great, Ryan. Thank you so much. Couple things. Number one, congratulations on your daughter.
Thank you.
My advice is don't let her become a teenager. I can promise you that.
She's already challenging, Chairman.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's the way it goes. Second of all, which really should be first, is, well, actually, family's always first. Thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, Chairman.
It's my pleasure. It's just so nice to know that there are people like you out there doing the work of this country in the name of our country. So thank you for that. And with that, I guess my question to you would be, you have some extensive experience. You're down in Danvers now. Do you find that there are any, the chief talked about some specific skills and things that you had. Is there anything that you learned in Danvers that would translate really well that maybe you don't see us doing here that could be brought in, obviously in consultation with the chief and staff? But how do you see what you had down there coming up here and transitioning in?
So I find that Danvers has given me a very broad spectrum of policing. We're not an inner city or something like that. We're still considered a town, but we're a very large town, sir. So I've done what I consider, and if you check the list, I've pretty much done everything there is to do up here in Danvers, as well as my military background. I was actually a military police officer in the Army, and I did that for 5 years. If there's something that I haven't come across, it's probably way out in left field, because I've gotten pretty well versed. I think that my experience alone would translate well to you guys. I also, on that fact that the chief didn't bring up, I grew up in a town very similar to your town as well. I grew up in Georgetown, which is a big lean of me moving departments to something that I grew up in, a community that I know. And when I said that my wife and I plan on moving, we plan on moving to Rockport within the next couple of years, because we want to raise our daughter in the same sort of community that I was raised in, that I fell in love with. I landed in Danvers, and Danvers has been very good to me. And as far as what I bring over, I think it's a very broad list of what I bring over. Simply road experience, patrol experience. So yeah.
Is there one aspect of what you see here? And, you know, obviously Danvers has a little bit of shoreline there, not much by way of inlets and such, but being on a coastal town and things like that, is there something that you really wanted to get involved in? You know, we have our sergeant she does a great job with our elderly. You know, we have our school resource. Is there something that you really, besides obviously your everyday patrol functions, is there something that you had your eye on that you wanted to be involved in?
Yes, Chairman. Well, along with being a military police officer in the Army, I was also a firearms instructor. And that's something that I've really wanted to get back into is I love teaching. So becoming maybe a firearms instructor or a field training officer. I was a team leader in the Army, so that translates as well. Here in Danvers, the people that were already here have been doing, you know, the firearms instructor and the field training for so long that that's just who the go-to is. So me being a new officer, I haven't had those opportunities, but that's something that I've always strived to and would love to get back into.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Great answer. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chairman.
My pleasure. I will open it up to the rest of the board. Paul?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ryan. And thank you for joining us on this Zoom meeting of the Board of Selectmen. I read your resume. You're very well qualified, and I want to obviously welcome you to Rockport. But just curious, why are you leaving Danvers to come to Rockport?
I've never, if I must be honest, I've never really felt at home in the town, never mind the department. Like I was explaining, it's not what I grew up in. I mean, we have almost 30,000 people here, whereas Rockport's right about what I grew up in, right about 6,800 to 7,000 people. And I've always wanted to get back to that community where, I mean, it sounds silly, but like everyone, you walk down the street and everyone knows your name, you know everyone inside and out. And I've always loved that. And I kind of landed in Danvers after my military service because this is where my parents live.
Okay.
And I really had nowhere else to go at the time in 2016. So I kind of landed here. But I've never felt that sense of, you know, wanting to be, you know, part of wanting this to be my forever. And my wife agrees, and all rules go through her. And so
excellent answer.
We've always wanted to get back to what we grew up in, and now that we have a daughter, it's even pushed. That was kind of the final push. Is we want to have her have the same upbringing that we did.
Were you familiar with Rockport, having grown up in Georgetown? I'm just curious what sparked your interest here.
Funny enough, Rockport, I was on the junior varsity and varsity soccer team, and Rockport was one of our biggest rivals.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I had a feeling with that. And then as my wife and I spoke more and more, the job posting for Rockport kind of, I reached out to their recruiting officer, Sergeant Fountain, and it just kind of fell into place. It was almost
Perfect.
like the perfect match, and it just kind of have gone into place. The puzzle pieces are landing right there.
Well, that's great. Well, you're obviously a very articulate individual, and you're filled with wisdom and good judgment to pick Rockport as your landing spot. So I wish you all the best. And again, welcome to Rockport.
Thank you, sir.
No bias there from Selectman Murphy. I like that. Keep that up. That's excellent. Okay, other questions from the board? Sarah, Herm, Ross?
I'll just make a brief comment. Welcome, Ryan. I ditto what Selectman Murphy and Selectman Campbell said. I found your military police experience really interesting as well. Not sure if we've seen that in a while, but it was really fascinating. And I've actually always found it interesting that Danvers is a town and not a city. So I think, honestly, if you want to be where everyone knows your name, I think you're coming to the right place.
Thank you.
There you go.
You should fit in just fine here.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, my military experience is interesting, yes, to say the least. I wasn't just a patrol officer. It was quite a couple times, a little bit overseas and everything like that.
How many total years did you have in, Ryan?
I had 5 years active and then another 3 inactive, but the inactive doesn't really count. So I had 5 years active United States Army.
You're not reserved still, are you?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, no, that's,
Discharged in I think my absolute discharge was like 2018 or something like that, sir.
very good, thank you.
If I can just make one other really brief
Yeah, please.
I love that you mentioned playing against Rockport, years ago when you were in Georgetown. I think probably still a really big rival. But I think one thing I've noticed is I have an 8th grader who's playing JV baseball, and one of our officers is one of the assistant coaches, and the kids absolutely love the fact that, he's a police officer in the community. He's also a coach. They see him around town, they see him at the House of Pizza. So I think that Chief Horvath has done a great job just kind of creating also just the whole community policing idea. And that, our kids are growing up like loving running into police officers around town and on the baseball field. So that kind of goes to what brought you here as well.
Yes, that's fantastic. It really is, because I don't think it's any mystery to anyone in here that it's hard to get that community policing as an officer, especially in this time in the United States. Anytime I can, it's very challenging, I'll say, for me to sit in a police cruiser for 8 hours. I need to get out and walk around and stretch, and I get honestly, I get bored. I like to talk to people. I like to conversate. I like to have open dialogues with people in the community. I find that opening up a dialogue with people often, answers many questions that they may not even ask.
That's probably music to the chief's ears.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can get on and see Selectman Brackett down at the coffee shop, and you'll get all the conversation you want. And
That
then
sounds fantastic to me. I love coffee.
there you go. That's great.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else for any questions for Ryan? Herm, please.
Yes, welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, sir.
I believe I remember correctly that you had an interest in suicide prevention or intervention. Is that not correct? Or you had a course in that area?
Yes, that was a civilian talk course that I took when I was in the military. That and a couple other ones that I got the privilege of taking in the military, even though it was a civilian talk course. It was a suicide prevention course. I believe at the time it was 3 weeks long, and it was a great help. It actually, unfortunately, came into effect where a couple incidents in our own barracks that I lived in, we came into contact with that, and then a couple of us had taken the course that it actually, unfortunately, came in handy.
I don't know, and speaking to the chief too, I don't know whether that puts you in a unique position with regard to your Rockford Police Force, or whether this is also experience that others carry with them, but certainly your addition to the Rockford Police Force is welcomed. For that
Thank you very much, sir.
Very good. Okay, last call. Any other comments? Hearing none. Well, Ryan, I as I say to everybody, and I really could not be more genuine when I say this, and I don't say that sarcastically. Thank you for the career path you've chosen. It's one of the most noble that can be chosen, especially in today's charged climate. But the work that folks like you do, and the chief and his entire staff and all police forces across the state always have the best interest of the citizenry in mind. So thank you very much for your service to your country and your service now, hopefully to our town on a deciding vote here.
Thank you, Chief.
Very good. You're very welcome. Okay, is there a motion?
There is. Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint Ryan Urbanski as a full-time police officer effective May 1st, 2022.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell with the cheerful aye vote. Motion carries 5-0. Ryan, welcome to Rockport. We're glad to have you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much for this time.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Enjoy it.
Enjoy.
It'll be an honor.
Congratulations, Brian.
Get some rest because the chief is going to run you ragged. So there you go.
Thanks, everybody.
That's
Thanks,
okay.
Chief.
I
Appreciate
won't.
it.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Have a great night.
You as well, sir.
All right. Bye now. Okay, great. Let's move on to item E, the consent agenda, which is the approval of minutes, which we do have. 116 Long Beach lease to reflect change of address, lodging house license renewal for Beach and King Street Inn, and the appointment of Thatcher Island crew for 2022. Does anybody wish to hold any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a motion. I move that the board approve all none-held items on the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy. Oh, Paul, you cut out. You're muted there, buddy. Monty, can you unmute him? There you go. Go ahead, Paul.
I vote aye.
Very good. Thank you. Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. We're running a little tight on time, and I know that Green Community had a couple of restrictions on time for some folks. So I'm going to go out of order here. I'm going to bump them up first, and we'll come to the consideration of outdoor dining second. So we will go to item number 2 under F first. Let's see here.
Can I ask a question about that, Don?
Yeah, please go right ahead.
I just, at 5:46, we got an email with the draft reduction plan. I didn't see anything in our packet. Did I miss something? Or was
No,
this-
they had a meeting today, and
Okay.
if I'm correct, and Mr. Mikas could address that, but I believe they had a 4 o'clock meeting today or something, and that was why I believe that this was coming to us at the 11th hour.
Okay, so I didn't miss something. This is what we got.
Right, unless there was something else. Actually, Monty, can you unmute Tom, please? And Tom, you want to fill us in here a little bit, please?
Yes, if you could also unmute Vicky Masoni, she's our consultant on this and knows a great deal about it.
Good, okay. Monty,
So,
go ahead. You can unmute Victoria, please.
If it would help, I could screen share the overview for everyone to see.
I just want to keep it brief if we can, but that's fine. If you'd like the screen share, I have no problem with that.
If I can keep it simpler than that, if you don't need to see a whole lot. Basically, what it boils down to, when you look at all the potential projects we have in our energy reduction plan, the only ones that really qualify for going to a grant application that's due April 22nd for green communities would be heat pumps at the police station and town hall. And we have reviewed the proposal at the police station with Chief Horvath and reviewed the proposal for town hall with Mitch. The complication at town hall is that it did not include any additional ventilation. And Mitch has an idea that he could provide an additional ventilation component to the project and perhaps even wrap in ventilation for the library and central fire station. That would be funded outside of the Green Community Program. I don't know, Mitch, you want to comment on that?
Sure. So yes, so that item, as Tom said, as you all know, we've been really looking for a vendor to come in and do an actual HVAC system in these facilities. We have no fresh air exchange aside from opening a window, even in 20-degree weather. So hoping to see if we can link these two things together with a vendor to get that project moving. So you'll see that the request is provisional for town hall in case we're able to move it quicker than the grant process. And if that is the case, we would use ARPA funding for it. So hopefully we can get this moving in partnership with this.
So Tom, if I can, if you could address this is an April, just as for the edification of folks that are here, the board has the packet. But why are we coming now? Because April 22nd is a deadline for filing. Is that correct?
Right. The grant application is due on April 22nd, and we're working with our green community contractor, Guardian. And they've, of course, got a bunch of municipalities and everybody wants their proposals at the same time. And we recently got theirs and we're trying to wrap this into the needs for the ventilation as well. And so we're just coming to a head with this and needing to submit the grant application. The overview that I presented shows other options, some of which could be pushed into the future. There's potential projects for DPW with the wastewater, pumping stations, the LED streetlight program, but that's not now. These are things on the energy reduction plan that could go in the future. But what's really at the tip of the spear at the moment is the 2022 Green Community Program, which has applications due on the 22nd.
Good. I'd like to open it up to the chief, seeing that this is going to be a project that will affect him. Monty, could you unmute the chief, please? Okay, chief, you've been talking to the Green Community Task Force, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Tom read me into the project, and then Vicky sent me some information. My only concerns were with regards to the system and being able to maintain it. So having our custodian be familiar, as well as our DPWs be familiar with the system. And that appears that that's not going to be an issue, and that'll be seamless. So it's obviously energy saving, and it's a good move for the town. So I fully support it.
Good, excellent. And as far as the DPW is concerned, you mentioned them. They've been read on this too, Tom?
It had been presented to the DPW commissioners meeting. We got no pushback.
Okay, so they were on board. They asked their questions that they wanted to ask, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, all right. I'm sure they'll reach out if they don't. Herm, please.
Yes, is this then a substitution for the current heating system at the police department?
Yes, at the police station, it would be a complete substitution for heating and cooling. At town hall, it would be a substitution for heating to be supplemented on the coldest days by the existing heating system. So that's kind of a backup. And it would also provide central cooling, which you don't have now.
Okay, heat pumps are finicky. Heat pumps need service. I'm asking the town administrator, does the town have people who are trained in handling the annual maintenance on heat pumps?
I think it would depend on what is necessarily needed. I'm sure that our building maintenance crew is generally familiar with it.
It's a little bit more than that. It's a little bit sophisticated.
Yeah.
And
So
if
we would
they
have
aren't-
to get a vendor.
if they don't know refrigeration equipment, then they won't be prepared.
Then we will, anything beyond the basic maintenance, we will work to, we'll have to have a vendor come in and engage them for maintenance.
So there is a cost associated with this on an annual basis, usually spring and fall for heat pumps. Okay.
Did you want to address that?
I should point out that this is not our first heat pump. The town hall annex has a rooftop unit, which is a heat source, which is an air source heat pump. And there's a contractor that has come in to service it. So,
Okay, so
this is
then-
a
so then
known
you-
process.
Right, so then you can predict what those costs would be based on whatever that service charge is for the annex. Is that correct? And that's something we can know, Mitch?
We can certainly have a pretty quick ballpark, depending on if, the similarity of that system versus these other ones. And I know DPW does do a little bit of PM work on the system that is up there, filters and things of that
I was
nature.
gonna say the basic maintenance is pretty simple, so.
This might be a question for Victoria, but and I know obviously it's different in a municipal world, but what does a warranty look like for a system like this? When you buy something for your home, I bought a new oil furnace for my home, and I get a warranty for X amount of time. Well, how does it work in the for something like this for support?
I'd say it's the same. It's kind of a typical as if you did a construction project through any 30B contract would be a 1-year workmanship, which is the 1-year guarantee on the contractor, and then whatever the equipment carries as a manufacturer's warranty would go beyond that.
Okay, all right, good.
Mr. Chairman, the other factor to consider is that the current heating system at the town hall is pretty much at an end of life. So at some point, maintenance is not going to be enough.
Right, no, I get it. No, that's fine. And obviously for town hall, you'll work with Mitch on that, and you guys can get that all figured out and bring it forward. Sarah, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I lost you right
there.
there.
Question. This is super exciting. So we got the ERP that you sent, right, which is your energy reduction plan, we're not voting on that whole thing. We're just voting on the heat pumps for the police station and town hall, correct, tonight?
That's all I need to go
Okay.
forward, and the rest
Okay.
is kind of FYI for the big
Okay.
picture.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure. So we may want to just adjust our motion, just because the motion says project presented, which if you look back, it will look at the whole spreadsheet. So we just want to, we can just adjust it accordingly. But this is exciting. I mean, honestly, this is like great. I'm glad that the chief is here to talk about the police station. Mitch is here for town hall. So, and then I think, as we move forward, it would, like Herm suggested, we need to just kind of get concrete what the service costs are for these new systems, and so that, going forward, when we install them in buildings, we have our own track record.
The upside is, as the price of heating oil goes up, you'll be saving more and more.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And Tom, just by way of clarification, what we're doing right now is all I've ever wanted. Everybody's been informed as to what's going on. You've got buy-in. We're looking at funding sources. I mean, this is all that I've ever wanted out of this, because this is now a true partnership that we can work together for the goods of the town, the needs of the town, and address long-term solutions. So I will thank you for that.
You're welcome. We're here to communicate.
Good. Appreciate that. Victoria, you had your hand up. Did you like to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the projects that are included in the discussion tonight. The third one is the police station weatherization, which is also listed on that plan. So in order for the granting agency to fund an HVAC retrofit, they insist that you do weatherization either before or at the same time. So those two projects are partnered together.
Okay.
All right, Sarah, when it comes time, do you want to adjust the motion and make it? I know Paul has it, but do you want to revise that a bit?
Sure, one of us can. Happy to, yeah.
However you want to do it, that's fine. Herm, go ahead.
And one quick, so the grant is to cover all aspects of this, the weatherization as well as the heat pumps installation. Is that correct?
If we do both of these heat pump projects at the two buildings, there would be a shortfall of 114 to of 14 to 18,000. The weatherization, we might be able to do it ourselves. That cuts it by 4,000.
The town hall project, if it is part of the large, which we expect it will be part of the larger HVAC and ventilation, that would all be picked up through the ARPA money that we have.
So is there anything questionable, Mitch, about where funding is coming from for any of these projects? Is everything accounted for?
So again, the piece that puts it over is basically town hall.
Yeah.
So again, if we are able to do that larger ventilation, we need to not just, so I guess taking a step back, to do it, we have to do it correctly the first time. We have to put the ventilation add-on in. So we would be able to cover that overage and whatever is in addition through the ARPA money for the town hall project.
Okay. All right.
So
The answer is the money's
grant
the money's
covers
there.
everything else.
The money's
Sarah,
there. Yeah, and just so people know, because the Board of Selectmen has to vote on releasing ARPA funds. So we will see this, we will have to vote on this later, just so everyone knows.
Down the road, yeah.
Right, probably sooner rather than later, because I would assume that these projects move pretty quickly. But honestly, what a great use of ARPA money, right, to upgrade ventilation stuff at town hall.
We can finally close the windows when it's 12 degrees out. That would be a
major,
very nice addition.
Which has been a major problem through all of COVID. So honestly, this project is killing several birds with one stone.
And again, to just reemphasize a further critical point here, the intention is, certainly this is part of this particular program, but as Tom indicated at the beginning, the intention is to do it here, the library, central fire and ambulance as well, because that is part of the larger ventilation need, particularly at the library, in addition to town hall.
So how does the grant funding, so you would be subject to whatever grants are available at the time when those projects come around?
Nope. If we can get it squared away for ventilation for town hall, we would do that through the same project and use ARPA funding for that. Because there's no system there either. There's no ventilation system there.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
you mentioned Central Fire. Is that part of this too?
Yep. Well, not the green piece. It's part of the ARPA piece. If we're able to get that going,
And that would be a part of renovations as well, perhaps?
not renovations, no, just ventilation upgrade,
Just ventilation.
not a larger renovation.
HVAC stuff, yep, okay. Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none. Tom and Victoria, thank you. Do you have anything you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Nope, happy to help with this. It's going to save a lot of money and be good for the future.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you for your efforts. So is there a revised motion? Do we need a revised motion at this point?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the Green Communities Grant Program with the caveat that the Town Hall project approval is provisional and subject to the removal based on approval of a more comprehensive ventilation project. Is that right?
No, I
Sarah?
think we have to name the 3 projects in the motion. Right,
Well,
Mitch?
the grant that they're going for covers those 3 projects. So the grant that is mentioned, I would think so.
Right, but
Yeah,
that's
they're-
the grant. We should have it for our records, I think is what Sarah's getting at.
Yeah, just so we can match the grant to the projects, just as a record going back. I think it makes sense. And it doesn't affect their work at all. It's just more of a selectman minutes
Do
type of
you
thing.
want to amend it then, Sarah?
Yeah, do you want me to?
Yeah, sure.
So,
I don't have the,
okay. So I would say, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the police station heat pump, which is police station weatherization, go with that. Police
Yeah.
station weatherization, town hall heat pump and town hall ventilation projects for submission to the Green Communities Grant Program with the caveat that the town hall project approval is provisional and subject to removal based on the approval of a more comprehensive ventilation project.
You are the
Second.
queen of revisions. Good job. Thank you, Sarah. Okay,
Queen of
motion's been made,
complicated motion.
right? That's it. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
aye.
Selectman Lilia,
All right.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Again, thank you, everybody, for your work. Victoria and Tom, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Moving back, well, let's go backwards now. Consideration of outdoor dining for 2022.
The chair, if I may.
Please, go right ahead.
Just so my fellow board members know, I would not be recusing myself. After last meeting, I went and reread the conflict of interest laws, and I don't feel that I am in any conflict. That we're talking about public land. I don't have outdoor dining, and this isn't a mandatory fee that any business is incurring. I spoke with Mitch. He's agreed with me, and that's where I stand. I've noted Sarah or Selectwoman Wilkinson and Selectman Murphy's displeasure with not recusing myself. So that's that.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't say it's displeasure. I think that I've been on this board for 12 years and I was on the school committee for another 6. I've recused myself a number of times if my in-laws are being appointed. I know the chairman has done the same thing. You are a restaurant owner in town and you're making decisions regarding restaurants with your potential competitors. And I think you should.
Well, he
recuse
just did
yourself.
that. Well, he just did that for a liquor license too.
I'm
You know, and
going against
so I-
public land. We're not, has nothing to do with
Liquor's
any restaurant that has
not
outdoor
a
dining right now.
restaurant, though. It's not a restaurant.
Is there a restaurant that has outdoor dining right now?
Not right now. Ross, obviously you can do what you want, but I just think it's a bad look. And I think perception is a lot, and I think it's bad. So anyway, it's not personal, I hope you know that.
Yep. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to dwell on this, but I support Selectman Brackett. I see no conflict with him. I think he can adjudicate fairly. I've known him for quite a while now, and I think, he puts his service to the town above any personal feelings, and of which right now I don't think there really are any. This is just
And
really
I'm not questioning that. Mr.
Right, no, I
Chairman,
know.
at all.
I get that.
I'm not.
I know that.
I just think it's the perception, and I think he should recuse himself. I've had my say. And that's it.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's open up the conversation. Sarah, this is your wheelhouse. Why don't you want to kick us off and then we can spin it around a little bit?
Yeah, sorry, I've been a little, I was gonna do a lot more research. Honestly, the only research I have is I heard from one local restaurant who heard about our last meeting and wanted to reach out to tell me that the outdoor dining literally saved them during the pandemic, and that they hoped we, kept it as reasonable as possible because, they're just trying to survive and get by down there. And they're literally just hanging on and able to stay open. I also, I think that the Economic Development Committee had looked around to neighboring communities that weren't charging anything this season for outdoor dining. I know we've all seen Boston in the news. The $500, to be honest, the more research I do, I think $500 is reasonable for the season for restaurants that take up 2 spaces. I think it should be $250. There's one restaurant that only takes up 1. And I think that we were kind of bolstered by town meeting, where the moderator did a small straw poll to see if town meeting thought that we should recoup all of the meter expenses, and town meeting overwhelmingly said no, that outdoor dining is a benefit really to the whole community. And, in reopening, our whole motto was a higher tide floats all boats. And I think that's how we look at outdoor dining. And if people come downtown and see people dining outdoors, even as the pandemic ends, it looks like Rockport is alive and well. And because of that, people eat in our restaurants, they shop in our shops, they put money in the meters, which really affects each and every one of us. So I kind of stick with my proposal.
Okay. Okay. Other comments? Ross?
If I may, I propose the $250 a month. For the reasoning behind that was that the restaurant can choose which months they'd like to use the spots. That way, if they don't think they're going to need it for a 3rd month, or so to speak, that goes later into the season where everything slows down and we have the indoor seating back to full capacity, it allows the parking to reopen for the retail shops if they can't commit to if they don't want to commit to that month. So that's just why I did it per month, but that's just my recommendation.
I personally like the monthly fee on it. I don't think, knowing that the additional revenue, that especially now that we're in season and when these tables and everything's used, I don't think $250 a month is an unreasonable amount to pay. And again, they can choose to use it or not use it, obviously with proper notice and what have you. So, and I agree with everybody at town meeting. We're not looking to recoup all of the costs, not at all. But I think when you derive a benefit on public land, there's a price to be paid for that. And I think that price at $250 a month is extremely reasonable. I don't think it's burdensome at all. Just my opinion. Go ahead. Anybody else? Well, lively discussion here tonight. So that's how I feel. So I'm not sure how you folks want to approach this. We can, we have it on our action list, so we could vote on it if you'd like. If somebody wants to put a proposal forward, we'll see where we go. Is there anything else to be discussed? Go ahead, Paul.
We're gonna vote on the fee for the entire year, or we're gonna do it monthly, or we're gonna decide.
Well, that would depend on the motion, I would imagine. So whoever, Ross, do you want to craft a motion on this?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I support both in the end.
Somebody?
So if that's what I thought, we're gonna have more of a discussion and settle on something and go for a vote. But I mean,
I like a one-time fee, not a monthly fee. I think a one-time fee would be, especially since this is the 2nd year. Hopefully this will continue, not COVID, the outdoor dining, but I like a one-time fee versus a monthly fee.
And just to state that the state did pass the legislation for alcohol served outside and alcohol to go as well.
So that's a big boost because they couldn't do that before. So I think that adds more revenue into the store stream. I'm good either way. I think, if somebody wants to put it, I'm fine. Sarah, you were gonna say?
Just a couple of the restaurants that do it don't have liquor licenses, just
Okay,
so that, yeah.
okay.
But yes, that's super helpful because it would have been difficult for them to, it would have been challenging to operate outdoor dining, but only liquor inside.
Okay. Okay, so I can't make it, so I'm gonna wait for one of you folks to jump up if you wanna throw something out there and we'll see if it flies, or if you want to put it on. Sarah, go ahead.
Sure, I'll make them up. Well, I think I actually don't have it. Do we need a longer motion? Here we go with my complicated motions.
No, it's all right.
Should I just do a motion on the fee for now?
Well, I mean, let me, Mitch, are you on this still? Do we need to approve outdoor dining and the fees, or just the fee structure?
So at this point, the critical piece is the fees.
Okay,
The board has already reviewed the proposal and there were no objections to the rest of the proposal. So I
Right,
would say if you're doing, whoever does the motion, it should be to approve the outdoor dining program and the fee as follows.
okay, so it does involve both.
yeah.
It does, but it doesn't need to be a lengthy.
The legislation didn't that allow outdoor dining now?
It allowed, it addressed
both.
alcohol sales outside
I
and
thought it said
non-contiguous
for outdoor
premises.
dining.
Y-
Like
Yes, but-
specifically allow outdoor dining again on public property.
so that isn't covered by the legislation. The
Okay.
town has the right to issue it. It's specifically for the alcohol sales.
Alrighty.
Great. So what would you like a motion?
Please.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve outdoor dining for the 2022 season, including fees as follows. A $500 fee for the season for restaurants that take up that take up the space equivalent of 2 parking spaces, a $250 space for restaurants that take up a $250 fee for restaurants that take up the equivalent of 1 parking space.
I'll second that.
That
If
work?
I may, Mr. Chair.
Please, go ahead. Russ.
There is one restaurant that covers up a sidewalk, so that would need to be addressed as well.
So it's still the
That's
size
still-
of parking spaces.
It-
The chief and
I just want to make sure. I mean,
measure them
I'm
as
just saying,
size.
you know,
That we
language
measured. We
matters. So
measured. Yep, we measured. They either get one, they either have their sidewalk space is the equivalent of 2 parking spaces. So, and there's one restaurant that has only one space, so.
The one that has 1 space, does that also utilize the sidewalk as well?
No, it's the one
Okay,
that uses a little sliver of Millbrook Park.
Oh, 2 little birds there?
I mean, that's my main point, is that we have the parking spots and the sidewalk on one. And then, for instance, some of the other ones in the other part of the downtown, the sidewalk is still open to the public. I know we opened the parking spots up, but we're still taking them away at the same time.
Well, I tell you, I mean, here's my thought on this. We're just coming out of this pandemic. Everybody's had a rough time. I have no problem with a lower fee right now. And then, down the line next year, you folks can look at it again. And then if you deem it not to be appropriate or not enough, then you can always adjust it. But I think in the interest of helping our town businesses, helping them get that rejuvenation that they so desperately need, I have no problem with the 250. I could live with that. Or the 500.
Well, I'm just saying, but for the wording of the site, that's all I'm saying. I'm not against it. I'm just saying
Right.
for the wording.
No,
And
no, I
Mitch,
know
where
you're
do
not.
the funds go, Mitch? Are they going to the
General.
They were going to the general fund.
general?
Even though they're supplementing parking spaces, that wouldn't go into the police side of things?
It goes into the general fund.
Okay. All right, so, Sarah, I'm sorry, did you make that motion? Was it? do
I
we need to
seconded it
change
too.
You did, okay, so we're good? Sarah, I'm sorry, just for my edification and my moronicness, could you restate that one more time, please, so I can hear it?
Sure, I think Herm had his hand up too. I don't know if.
Oh,
you
I'm
had-
sorry, Herm, I'm sorry, you're way up here in the corner on my
It's
screen.
nice to add the discussion. As I mentioned in the last meeting, I do think that there ought to be a distinction between establishments such as Hula Moon and establishments such as Feather and Wedge. And basically, I guess what I'm now focusing on, because I focused on food tax before, I will not do that because that seems to have gone nowhere. From the standpoint of alcohol sales, I dare say that there ought to be a distinction in the fee paid by the establishments, depending upon whether they sell alcohol, they don't, because if they sell alcohol, they're taking in more revenue, they can afford to pay more. So my recommendation is to raise the top to $1,000 for those that sell alcohol, and the others, no. It should not be a pain to Hula Moon or Two Birds or whatever. But that's my statement. So please give me a response.
I mean, my response initially would be that it should be predicated upon the amount of town land that they're occupying, not what they're selling. So I would respectfully disagree with that.
Well, it's
But
part
go
and
ahead.
parcel of the same. In other words, it's a matter of, and I think there's a combination. I think there's an equation that we can come up with. Admittedly, it's on the fly right now, but I do think that there is something here that is worth full consideration. And that's the size of the establishment. Yes, the number of spaces they're taking, and whether they do or they don't sell alcohol, because those who do can afford a higher fee than others do. So that's my.
I think if you were going to do something like that, Herm, you'd have to have a more stringent metrics to be able to use, because then it almost becomes arbitrary. I know you're not presenting it that way, and I know that's not how you mean it, but I think you really need to focus on, maybe it's the number of seats. I don't know. I don't know what that criteria is. I think right now the safest and most expedient way to do this, again, reserving change at a later date, is to just go with the nominal fees up front, and then it can be revisited next year. That would be my thought.
If I may, Mr. Chair,
Please.
Mitch can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's only one establishment that would fit that Herm's criteria this coming year.
And it's probably correct.
There would be, there could be two, but there's definitely one. So I'm not sure if the second one is reapplying this year, but definitely one is.
Yeah, I would propose that we keep it simple, since this is our first year charging, and then do some more research. My guess is that outdoor dining is here to stay. I think that
Hope so.
what I've read
Yeah.
around, what I've read in the state, I think it's been a huge success. And so I think, but I also totally agree with what Herm says, that we have restaurants that are just serving breakfast. We have one that, the dinner and alcohol. And so I think it does deserve a much deeper look. I just think to get places open and going for the season, I
Yeah.
know that people are waiting. For now, I think we should just go simple, but this should be definitely a longer, bigger discussion at another time where we can go into more depth on it.
Well, I think it's
agree.
similar to like the alcohol regulations that we have. It's a document that's living and breathing, and it's constantly being changed. So we get this started for the first year, charging money, and then we looked, sometime in the fall, increasing the fees or decreasing the fees, or maybe even forming a committee to look at it, to make sure that
Yeah.
we get all the right things in place.
Yeah, because I also think that if the fees start going much higher than this, we're going to have to offer, payment plans, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's maybe too much for somebody to write up front. So I think it's just a bigger
bigger
fish to
discussion.
fry.
Yep. Very good. All right. So, Shara, just so we're clear on it, could you please restate the motion if you don't mind,
Yeah.
please?
So I didn't write it down as I said it, but I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the outdoor dining program for the 2022 season with the fees as follows: a $500 fee for restaurants that take up we could adjust it, 2 parking spaces or the equivalent thereof, or $250 for a $250 fee for restaurants that take up 1 parking space or the equivalent.
And that's for the season, not monthly, correct?
Yeah, it's just a
Okay.
1 flat fee. Yep.
Okay. Yep. That's fine.
Second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion on this one?
The only thing was that Mitch had said that if, for some, honestly, the $500 may be a lot to pay up front, that if they needed to, they could pay $250 at the beginning and then $250 mid-season, just to give them a little break. Because I know opening up, there are a lot of costs.
I have no problem with that. That's fine. Do we need to include that in the motion? I don't think so, right? No,
Oh, so.
it's ministerial, as Mitch would say. Okay, so you've heard the motion's been seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. And we wish everybody, regardless of outside dining, an absolutely tremendous season this year. We hope it goes gangbusters. Okay, great. Let's move on to item number 3, the correction to clerical staff compensation schedule.
Yes,
Is
Mr. Chair,
there a motion? I'm gonna, do you want to, Mitch, you want to make the motion, then you want to talk, or how do you want to do this?
If I could just go over first, just so you can take a look at it. I'm just pulling up the compensation schedule right now, the
Yep.
Schedule B.
Yep, that's fine.
So just to give a little bit of background, the structure that we have in place for clerical and administrative support in town is structured as follows. So it's the initial or the base level is clerk, then administrative assistant, then senior administrative assistant, then office manager, then executive assistant. The administrative assistant rate is the one directly above the clerk rate. So the clerk position is a union position. All others above that are non-union positions. Approximately, I want to say probably 6 or 8 years ago, we had the same problem that we have right now, which is that the union rates surpassed that of the administrative assistant rate. And this was brought to our attention last week. So to properly pace these positions out and to have the appropriate space and equity between them, I am proposing that the adjustments be made as follows. So the numbers in parens are the current rates, and the numbers next to them are what I am proposing. The proposed numbers allow an appropriate buffer between the clerk position and also a buffer between the senior administrative assistant and office manager positions above it. This properly recalibrates where this position should fall in the overall pay scale for our administrative and clerical support. So I'm proposing that the start of the pay scale for the administrative assistant role be $23.97, the mid-range be $27.27, and the top of the range be $29.66.
Very good.
So
Okay.
this, like I said, this happened probably 6 years ago. Because it's so close to the union rates, we had to make some adjustments. This should ensure that we don't have to do that again for a number of years.
All right,
Great.
any questions from the board? Sarah?
Would you like a motion?
Sure. Well, I just want to make sure if anybody has any questions first before we do this.
Oh, sounds pretty
Nope.
straightforward.
It is. There's really no brain surgery here. Okay. Sarah, please, if you don't mind.
Great. Mr. Chair, I move that the selectmen approve a modified compensation Schedule B as presented by the town administrator effective immediately.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. We are coming to item 4 to consider filling vacant Conservation Commission seats.
So, Mr. Chair, there is no action item on this evening. This was on as an item hoping that we could put some folks in. I had spoken to an associate member that was looking to move up, and I'm in the process now of speaking with the other members to ascertain what needs to be done. So we don't have somebody to step in to that exact position right now. The associate who had said they could, unfortunately, had another circumstance change and are now no longer able. So when we are able to make those adjustments, again, we will bring it before you again. So
Okay,
no-
so
no
we're
action
gonna
needed this year.
we're gonna table this one.
You're just not going to take any action, Mr. Chair.
Yep, that's fine. No problem. All right, let's go on to item number 5, Rockport Art Association banners along Main Street. Is there a motion?
I do, Mr. Chair. I move that the selectmen grant permission to the Rockport Art Association to post 6 banners along Main Street from May 1st to July 31st to celebrate the next 100 years.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. I love seeing banners up on the streets. I think it adds a note of festivity. Now that we have outdoor dining handled, it's gonna just enhance the atmosphere here. So I think it's a great idea. Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion?
Yes, we don't charge, correct? I know there's been some talk about why we don't charge. I'm just thinking the conversation that we just had with the restaurants. I'm not in favor of charging, but you know, we just got to be prepared to hear some comments about that.
Well, I think in the past, we've discussed that the only organizations we do these for are nonprofit organizations. So basically, it was the Shale and Lou and the Art Association. So we.
Those are the only two,
discussed
yeah.
not-
That's
Yeah,
correct.
but it wouldn't be for commercial. My question was, have the Shale and Lou applied to put any, just because
We've not gotten any requests, and it's always been first come, first serve.
yeah, and if we had to, we could always, somehow.
Every other one.
Yeah, something, because we talked about that being an issue, if more, but. Cool, they look beautiful. Some of the paintings on them are just gorgeous.
Yep, agreed. We're known to be in one of the premier art colonies in the world. So there you go. Okay, motion's made, seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Move on to item number 6, the acceptance of gift funds for the Harbor Department. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen accept the donation of $5,000 from the John H. McMillan IV to be used by the Harbor Department as specified in the gift application letter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Mitch, do you want to fill us in on this one? Actually, not us, the public.
We received a donation in the amount of $5,000 from a resident. This happens probably a couple times a year between some of the different gift funds that the departments have. And we're very grateful for this particular donation, and all of them that come in, we're thankful, and the harbor masters will certainly put it to good use.
Absolutely. That's
I have
absolutely.
no doubt.
Very generous.
Very generous.
Yep, that's great. Okay, motion's made, seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. And a hearty thank you to John H. McMillan IV. Thank you to the family and him as well. Let's go on to the one-day alcohol license for the Education Foundation of Rockport.
Oh, so that one, we're not acting on this evening. The event is postponed till the fall. I think there was
Okay.
some miscommunication. They said they let the office know, but I don't think it made it through to us.
Just got red line, no problem. Thank you, Sarah.
Yep.
Let's go to the one-day alcohol license for the Pigeon Cove Circle Incorporated.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a one-day alcohol license for the Pigeon Cove Circle Incorporated for a fundraiser dance on May 6th, 2022.
Second.
I'll second it.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion on this one? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett,
Abstain.
Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia,
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 4-0 with one abstention. Let's go to the extension of the Emerson Inn's temporary closure. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a motion. I move that the board approve the extension of the Emerson Inn's temporary closure to April 29, 2022.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you very kindly. Okay, I mean, it's only a couple weeks away, so not a big deal. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia,
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Mitch, do we have any opera funds that we're gonna deal with tonight?
Not this evening, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll skip that one. So we can go from there. Moving on to item G, the Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator updates. Mitch, always deferential to you. Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So very successful town meeting a couple weeks ago. Everything went very smooth for that. We appreciate the good turnout. We are now preparing for the special town meeting on Monday, May 16th, which is focused on the zoning bylaws. And tied into that, a request came in front of the Board of Health relating to the plastics bylaw a couple weeks ago, I would say. And the Board of Health had voted to request that the selectmen consider putting an article on for this May meeting to extend the moratorium associated with that. Board of Health member Ruth George is here. If Ruth could just give a little bit of context to that.
Hi, everyone. Yes, we talked about it, and we felt that with the cost of all the things that the restaurants would have to do, that the town has given a break to outdoor dining and all kinds of things. We talked about the cost of the DPW facility, and costs of everything are going up. So we really wanted to put it off for another year, so we could see if some costs get down. Some of the costs that people would have to recoup would be 4 times what they pay now, 4 or 5 times, and it's just very cost prohibitive. So we would like you to put it on the agenda to postpone it for another year.
Very good. Okay, Mitch, do you want to keep going?
Sure. So for this, Mr. Chair, it would be helpful if there was a consensus from the board on whether you would like us to prepare this as part of the warrant for the special town meeting. Following up on the board's request.
Open it up to the board. Sarah, Herm, Paul, John Boy, Mary Ellen.
Yep,
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, we will do that. Thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Thank you. Mitch, did you have more you wanted to add?
I do, Mr. Chair. So I received a request from the fire chief's office. The department would like to hold a parade on Saturday with the Easter Bunny. They would like to follow the same route that they did at Christmas time for Santa. So they would like to have the Easter Bunny do that. I indicated, certainly timing is very tight here, but the selectmen needed to at least not object to any type of parade or use of public ways, including the equipment. So I wanted to just see if there were any objections or any caveats, questions, or requirements that came up with it.
You mentioned
The only,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr.
sorry,
Chair, sorry.
the only, no, it's okay. The only requirement that I would put on it, Mitch, is that they limit the siren usage to 1 siren on 1 vehicle, and that's it. It can't be a cacophony of all kinds of sirens going off. So if they could just do it, and then even at that, just use it sparingly to, alert the neighbors and kids that the Easter Bunny's coming around. That's really all I have. Sarah?
I think Ross had something first.
I
Oh,
was
sorry,
gonna say what Chairman Campbell said.
Yeah. So even to further that, so I think honestly, not to be a downer on it, because everyone loves the Easter Bunny, but I got multiple complaints last time they did it that kids were terrified. People were woken up. So I think it just has it really just has to be just to get some attention, not 100, they have to know that we got a lot of complaints about the horns. And honestly, they don't want that to overshadow the event. The event is the Easter Bunny. So and people hear a fire truck, a few small horns, they can get excitement without the 24/7 horn blowing.
Right.
I agree. Is it the real Easter Bunny coming, or is it an imposter?
You're the best. I got to tell you, you're the best.
I couldn't.
But it's a
But,
super cute idea and really nice of them to do it. I just, you know,
It
we
is
don't, we
nice.
don't want it to be ruined
So-
by sirens
Sure,
unnecessarily.
so I will convey the general consent and the requirement relating to the sirens tomorrow morning to the fire chief.
Very good.
That is
I
it.
will tell, that's all you have, Mitch? All right, so Paul, just so you know, I did have a talk with Santa. You know what you're getting in your stocking this
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately won't.
course.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there you go. Okay, so Mitch is good. Let's go around the horn here. I'll start off if that's okay. I agree that I think town meeting went very well. I think it was spirited. I think it was informative. I was extremely encouraged by the vote to support the DPW facility. I mean, that was just resounding. And I hope that that becomes contagious amongst the folks in town when it's on the ballot. And I hope that everybody in town supports it. It was just so well received by it over. And it really, honestly, it was not a stacked deck. You know, as some people like to say sometimes, this was just a random sampling of the folks that live in town. And for them to coalesce around such a worthy project, I think was phenomenal. So I personally, as a member of that committee, and I think I could speak for others on the committee, would like to thank everybody for the overwhelming support they gave to this project. That's all I have. I'll open it up.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yep, Ross, please. go
As you
ahead.
know, I spoke to you earlier about this. For the rest of the board to know, I'm working on a rough draft of a potential net zero type committee to help us, you know, mend all angles that could possibly come up. So I'm going to ask the chair before I even get anything finalized, if we can have an agenda item on the next meeting for we can all discuss net zero and what possible definitions we see net zero and where we see Rockport heading in the future.
As a discussion item, I have no problem.
Thank you,
As
Mr. Chair.
as a discussion item.
Yep.
Sarah?
Can I just, two really quick comments? Russ, you might want to touch base with Bruce Reed unless you already are.
I have it with him now.
I think he could be a great person for you to connect with on that, but that's a great project to take on. One thing that occurred to me after Green Communities was on tonight, and I think something that could be helpful going forward, I think tonight's kind of project approval was perfect, like you said, but it could be helpful to have for those types of things. And honestly, I envision net zero when we start to move forward with those, like a checklist, like we do when Long Beach residents come in to do construction, which is, you know, have you been to building inspector? Do you know, like which committees, so that it will actually help our office. You know, Mitch's office can kind of have the checklist, you know, they fill it out for the project and then it's just presented to us as part of the packet. So we know that it's been to, you know, for example, if the police chief couldn't have been here tonight, he could have checked off on it and added a comment if he needed to.
I agree. I absolutely 100% agree with that. Any other comments?
On top of Ross, but great idea that you're taking that on.
Yep. Rahan?
I've been in touch with Christine Downing with regard to net zero, in as much as she sent an email to me following our last meeting, and discussed the prospect of a forum, which would be not a meeting session, but an open forum, a workshop, if you want to call it that. I've yet to respond to her with regard to that, but I'm saying openly, as I've said to the administrator, that I see that as a good step. And I have also been in touch with other members of the community that's so much concerned about the environment. I'm saying that it would be a good idea for me to do that. I have not yet talked with Ross about that. He has an interest in leading that show, and that's fine. But I will complete the loop by sending her an email saying that we are interested in some sort of a workshop type meeting to discuss net zero.
I mean, if you want to bring me in on that, Selectman Lilia, she's reached out to me too multiple times, so this way we have,
okay,
we're all not commenting in different angles.
Yeah, no, it's simply our acknowledgement that a workshop would be useful to all of us.
Absolutely.
Good. Good, a lot of progress. Okay, that was that. Anybody else have any comments on, or any updates they want to provide? Nope, okay. Mitch, do you want to cover COVID-19 at all and the Board of Health plastic bylaw request?
So we did the Board of Health plastic.
Oh,
request
good.
already.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's right. You know, we continue to offer COVID test kits here in the building
That's what I was
on a
getting.
daily basis. And Board of Health, under Ruth's direction, offered a clinic this weekend and had very good turnout for that. They have another one in 3 weeks. And, you know, we continue to hope that the numbers do not rise again. We continue to just monitor those on a weekly basis.
Good.
All right. And we still have plenty of COVID tests available at Town Hall.
Plenty of COVID tests. We will be giving them out again. They were given out at the clinic. We will give them out again at the special town meeting, but anybody can come in during business hours and also get them.
Excellent. Okay. No other comments from the board. Let's open it up one last time for public comment. And just by way, there will be no executive session tonight. So if anybody's really short, yeah, go ahead.
Just one item, Mr. Chair, you have one item executive session.
Oh, I asked you earlier. I thought you said.
Correct, and I sent you a note that we need one item.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I apologize. Okay, all right, good. So we are having an executive session tonight. Okay, public comments. And there we go. Monty, can you unmute Toby, please?
Thank you, Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. I was interested and puzzled seeing you revise the compensation schedule. Certainly, it seems to make sense, and I have no objection to what you've done. I'm doubtful about the process because at the recent town meeting, the standard Article 4, we're asked to sign off on the compensation schedules, and now you're doing something else. Which may be justified, but can you explain that? And I have another concern for your licensing of the use of the spaces for the restaurants. I gather that the state is in the process of blessing outside sales or use of alcohol.
They've already done that, Toby, just so you know.
Yes, indeed. But each of the licenses that you issue is for a specific layout. In the past, I've had the feeling that you didn't adequately review those, that on the basis of questions that members of the board asked when you were having the hearings. But it is each one for a specific layout. And will you not have to revise the licenses, that is a whole new hearing, for ones that have changed the physical layout of where the stuff is served?
So just real quick, if I can, I'm going to address this real fast. The board asked questions that may seem like we didn't read something, but they're asked because we know it because we get it in the packet, but they're out there for the general public's consumption, so they understand it because they don't obviously get our packet. So just so you understand why some rudimentary questions may be asked, it's for the public's edification. So I'm sorry, continue.
No, that's it, but it doesn't answer my concern on whether you will indeed be revising the licenses for the places that are going to serve alcohol outside on public property, not inside where the license is specified before.
Well,
I guess we'd have to look at the wording of the legislation is
Right,
what that would
exactly.
come down to.
My understanding is that the new legislations that is allowing outdoor dining, that umbrella would be covered, but we can verify that to make sure. 'Cause it doesn't
Should
make
we run
sense.
that through council just to have them give a once over so we make sure we're
Yep,
in
we're in
compliance?
compliance with all previous years. The process is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I think we're fine.
good. Toby, do you have any other questions?
I got no response on my questions or doubts about the revision of the compensation schedule. I'm not objecting to it, but
The compensation schedule that was approved a few weeks ago was for FY23. This is an FY22 adjustment to the schedule. The selectmen have the ability to make adjustments as necessary when issues come up. The selectmen set the individual pay rates as they go throughout the year. So it is within the board's purview to do so, and particularly in this case, correcting a structural issue that needed to be taken care of.
And the money is there.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, Mitch, just, I guess, maybe we can further clarify, on the FY23 budget, the compensation schedule is reflective of these changes already. This change is needed to be made for now. Is that
So
wrong?
this addresses FY22 right now.
Right. I'm sorry. I had that back.
Yeah.
But the money was already there for 23, so it's not like it's.
So we will make an accommodation as necessary based on the adjustments that are here.
Perfect. Okay, great. Is there anybody else for public comment? Hearing none. There will be a motion for executive session.
I do, Mr. Chair.
Please go right ahead.
I move that the board enter into executive session for the following executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategies with respect to litigation regarding Stephen Abel versus Town of Rockport et al., MCAD docket number 22BEM 00744. If an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, votes may be taken. We will not reconvene in public session.
Second.
Motion's made. Sorry, I had to stand up for a second. Motion's made and seconded. The chair so declares that by not entering into executive session, it will be detrimental to the town's litigating position. We will not reconvene in open session. Roll call vote. Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectman Loya.
Aye.
Selectman Campbell votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. For those that are left who hung in there, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay, at this time, the public portion of the Board of Selectmen's meeting has ended. We ask that you please exit the meeting at this time.
I'm going to step away for a minute. I'll be right back.
At this time, the public portion of the Board of Selectmen's meeting has ended. We ask that you please exit the meeting at this time. Again, the public portion has ended.